Up, guys? Welcome back to the Cino MMA YouTube channel. And in today's video, we are back, boys. We are back. And this weekend, this Saturday night, is UFC 324 Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim lightweight championship. And in the co-main event, we have a banger of a bantamweight fight with Sean O'Malley taking on Song Yadong. 2026 is here. The UFC is finally back. It is fight week. First and debuting card on the new UFC and Paramount Plus deal. And guys, this is a very solid card. Very close to being stacked. A lot of people are saying stacked. I beg to differ, but it's a phenomenal card. Great matchups. And I'm hoping and praying that this lives up to the hype. And in today's video, we will be going from the first fight of the night to the main event. And I will be breaking down and giving my picks and predictions for each fight. So let's go ahead and get right into this. Opening up the fight card. Whoa, why does it look like that? Hold on. Can we reload it? What the heck? Well... this is weird. Well, I know the first fight. I don't know. $1 billion company, guys. $1 billion company. And the freaking thing. Oh, my gosh. Well, let's start off real quick with Adam Fugit. Ty Miller. Ty Miller making his UFC debut. Coming off a pretty solid decision performance on the Dana White Contender Series. Taking on a bit of a can-crush guy in Adam Fugit. Has been finished by the likes of Michael Morales, Mike Malott, and who else just finished him? Islam Dulatov. Ty Miller, I've watched a little bit of him. I'm going to be honest, I don't know all that much about him. However, he does have very good finishing ability, very powerful on the feet, long-ranging, knows how to use it. Pause. Adam Fugit matches him in stature pretty closely as well. However, Fugit on the feet... he just has no tools in the tool bag, dude. It's empty. There ain't no hammer on the belt. He ain't got no screws in the bag. You know what I mean? He's a pretty decent grappler, but I don't think he's UFC level at all. He's beat a couple of guys who are very low level themselves. Ty Miller, with his finishing ability, young, streaky guy, I'm going to be taking him to finish Adam Fugit in the first round. He's very fundamentally solid and sound on the feet. He thuds, dude. He can thud. He can throw. And I like him to finish this fight early. I just think Fugit, he stands very awkwardly on the feet. It never seems like he has confidence in himself whatsoever there. Ty Miller, you can kind of see his presence in the octagon. Like, he's very comfortable within his body. Knows what his weapons are. Very fundamentally sound. Uses his range quite well, I'd say, I almost said two things at the same time, but you get what I'm saying. Ty Miller, early, first round KO. He's just way more like swaggy, confident on the feet. I think that's an easy finish for Ty Miller on Saturday night. Moving on to, this will make me mad, man. I mean, this is $1 billion company, and it in the freaking website don't even work correctly. This is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. We'll look at it like this. Cameron Smotherman, Ricky Turcios. I'm taking Cameron Smotherman by decision. Turcios' best weapon is his pace. He has a very frantic, mostly manic pace. He doesn't have... I think he has horrible octagon IQ. Most people know him coming off a tough. He's done all right in a couple fights. Has also lost to Raul Rosas Jr., and Turcios' I'd say his best weapon in the octagon is his grappling. Cameron Smotherman, he's a bit of a brick wall. Hasn't shown the best takedown defense, though, but he's a bit of a brick wall on the feet. Dense guy. I think he's a fundamentally sound striker like Ty Miller. I think he's confident in his hands. He's fought some high-level guys like Ricky Simone, and those are his losses in the UFC. He was a bit of a prospect for a while. I'd say, nobody's really paying attention to him anymore. But Turcios on the feet is very sloppy. He just keeps leaning forward. It's a pace, and it's a frantic pace. He has no real footwork. Smotherman, he's pretty confident on the feet. technically sound for this level of the bantamweight division. I'm taking him by decision. I just think he will find the shots on the feet. Turkios, while he is a good grappler, he's pretty weak and frail. I don't think it'll be easy for him to get it to the ground or anything like that. I could see, I'm confident in seeing this a 29-28 decision win for Smotherman. I just think 2 of those rounds he will obviously outdo Ricky Turkios on the feet. Boxing is much, much better than Turkios's. Turkios fights very long and lanky, and I think Smotherman will be able to put together combinations to land on the face of Turkios, and I think he'll scathe out of here with a 29-28, somewhat close fight, decision win for Cameron Smotherman. Moving on, thank God we got past that. That'll make me mad. All right, let's get really serious now. Look at this guy, Denzel Freeman, a very, very highly touted prospect in the heavyweight division. Built like a brick wall, just had an amazing debut in the UFC. Josh Hokett, he's mean to liberals, so I don't know. I'm just kidding, guys. Denzel Freeman had one of the worst UFC debuts I've ever seen. I would have cut him along with the Polish guy he fought. It looked like they were sparring out there. I don't see any skill level in Denzel Freeman's game whatsoever. He's a decent wrestler. Josh Hokett, inexperienced in MMA, you could say, even though he has one less fight than Denzel Freeman. One punch knockout power, though. He's an athletic guy, played in the NFL. He's confident in himself, and I think that goes a long way in this low-level heavyweight division. And I think he has somewhat potential going forward. I think this is a first-round knockout. Denzel Freeman's slow. You watch him on the feet, and he'll throw. He kind of just does a, and then he'll, it's like he's sparring out there. I don't think he gets Hokett to the ground. I don't even think he'll be able to get a body lock or anything like that. Hokett has a giant athletic advantage in this fight. And, dude, when you're fighting this low-level heavyweights, a slow guy like Denzel Freeman, that locks it in. The bag has been won, okay? When you're fighting these type of guys. And Denzel Freeman, to his credit, is not the fattest slob I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. You can see the tricep right there, bit of a bicep going, just a bit of a belly, but looks like he has good genetics because that's a pretty good frame for the amount of fat he has on that body. Josh Hokett, though, dude's athletic, confident, explosive. I don't see this making it out of the first round at all. Hokett's going to find a shot off the chin at some point and put Freeman out. Freeman, he fights like he just was like, I guess I'll be an MMA fighter because I'm a big dude, kind of athletic, can grapple kind of, so I'll fight. Josh Hokett, you can tell he loves doing this. He likes to be exciting. He feeds off the energy of the crowd. This will be the first UFC card back from 6 weeks of a break. The energy will be lively in T-Mobile Arena. Hokett will feed off that. Athletic, big dude. I think this is an easy knockout win for Josh Hokett. Dude, promotable potential as well for Josh Hokett. You can call him cringe. You can call him whatever you want. But hey, he's trying to make a name for himself. Way better than 95% of the UFC roster, especially at heavyweight. So, hey, I'm kind of rooting for the guy. I just like excitement in the sport, man. It is a bit cringe, though, but let's get some different talking points. It ain't, his talking points were 3-4 years ago. Moving on. Sorry, recovering from an illness. Michael Johnson, Alexander Hernandez. This is actually a very, very much underlooked fight on this card. They may not be the 2 top 15 high-level lightweight fighters in the UFC, but both guys go out there and fight, man. When you watch a Michael Johnson or Alexander Hernandez fight, most of them you go back and watch, you're entertained. You're not sitting there twiddling your thumbs. They're exciting. Alexander Hernandez is one of the weirdest cases of a past prospect. You could maybe still, he's in his 30s, though, I'm pretty sure. Weird case of a fighter. Athletic, seems pretty well-rounded, has the physical, what you want in a lightweight, a solid grappling background, I believe, decent striking. He's just so inconsistent. He's on a 4-fight win streak, I believe. He's riding off that KO win over Carlos Diego Ferreira, which CDF looked horrible in that. He's 41, was very slow, looked like he didn't even want to be in there. Looked like he was just out there for a paycheck mainly, I would say. Also, knocked out Chase Hooper, even though he was getting he was getting defeated in the grappling department. Sorry, I could not think of a good word there. He is powerful, but he's pretty sloppy on the feet. He's not the most athletically footwork gifted guy. And on the other hand, Michael Johnson's coming off a win over Daniel Zellhuber, where he looked really good at his old age. He's a vet of the game, beating Dustin Poirier. He's still maybe not as much power as he once had, but still holds some one-punch knockout power. Still very quick for his age. Has a massive footwork advantage. I could see Alexander Hernandez maybe grappling a little bit. However, it just seems like most of his fights, he likes to keep it on the feet and play touch and go, patty cake on the feet. Michael Johnson don't do that on the feet, man. He gets in and out. He lands, he's fine. Like, this is what separates so many fighters in the UFC. He actually, in his head, kind of has something that he wants to land. Alexander Hernandez is more like a guy, he's just going to throw this combination and hope it works out. You know, Michael Johnson, he's much more calculated. He's not like the most technical striker you'd ever seen, though. But I think the speed and footwork will give Alexander Hernandez lots and lots of problems. He's also been finished a good amount of times, outstruck by guys like Bill Algeo, like not the highest level guys. And guys I would favor Michael Johnson over, even though he's riding that 4-fight win streak. Michael Johnson coming off the Zellhuber win, who was a decent prospect, still kind of is. Long, rangy guy. Overall, I'd say he's a better fighter, especially on the feet, than Alexander Hernandez. I'm taking Michael Johnson by second round KO. I think we could kind of see him scrap a little bit in that first round, but I think Hernandez will stay on that center line and range of Michael Johnson looking to exchange. And I think Michael Johnson's going to put him out, but more like a TKO. I don't think he'll like put him to sleep, but man, he's going to drop him with a tight inside hook or something, get on top and ground and pound. And I think Hernandez will get tired a little bit, especially if Johnson and they kind of go at a faster pace, starting off in that early part of the first round. Johnson's much quicker. Footwork is such a big separator in the UFC, and I think Johnson is a level above in the striking. He's been in the game so long. It's not like Hernandez is a phenomenal grappler. I like Michael Johnson in this fight a lot. The Unk gets it done again. Second round KO, Michael Johnson. Moving on to a very good flyweight bout as well with Alex Perez and Charles Energy Johnson. This is a bit of a tough one to pick, honestly. Alex Perez, he's been fighting for a while now in the flyweight division. Was at the top of the game for a while, had a long layoff, came back, fought Asu Almabayev, where he looked really good in those first 2 rounds before Asu took his back and got the rear naked choke. Charles Johnson, a bit inconsistent though, is riding a solid win streak. Charles Johnson, he has the skills to be a top flyweight guy, even though he's looked a bit inconsistent. He's 4-1 in his last 5. His only loss to Razimon Taramov, who is suspended for 2 years, popped for PEDs. Has a KO over the current flyweight champion Joshua Van. Jake Hadley, who's not a bad win at all. Sumu Darji, he's okay. And then he just finished Loner Kavanaugh in the second round. Loner Kavanaugh is a good prospect at flyweight, even though he's undersized, really, but his skill level, I would say, is even better than Alex Perez at this point. It's just that his size it just puts him such to a detriment, especially against these more physical guys like Charles Johnson. He's very well-rounded. Alex Perez, well-rounded as well. Primarily a pressure wrestler, I would say. Gets in your face. Solid boxing on the feet. I think Charles Johnson, though, he's a bit more rangy. Has a 3-inch height advantage, 5-inch reach advantage. I think he'll be able to use it. He's a pretty nasty Muay Thai guy. Trains in Thailand quite a bit. Word on the street, at least. I think he'll be able to be very rangy in this fight and pick apart Perez on the feet. And I don't think there's a big separation in grappling skills either. I like Charles Johnson's gas tank and pace as well compared to Alex Perez as he just walks forward a little bit. Charles Johnson moves more lateral, more confident in his head movement. I see Charles Johnson winning this by decision. I would say a pretty dominant decision as the fight goes on. Alex Perez is pretty hard to finish. I don't see Johnson necessarily getting a submission win. I think he's the better fighter. I think Perez is falling out of his prime. Charles Johnson is kind of on the ascension right now. He's very hungry. This would be a big win for him. This puts him like 2 fights away from a title shot in that top area of the flyweight division. I like Charles Energy Johnson here by a pretty dominant decision. I'd say 30-27, and looks very good in this outing against Alex Perez. Gosh dang, I can't breathe. I'm not fat, though. I'm losing weight. Moving on to the light heavyweight division, we got Modestas Bukauskas, who was a pretty low-level light heavyweight, got cut from the UFC, and has came back and looked actually very impressive in his past few outings, getting a finish and winning some decisions. Nikita Krylov, who I thought was one of the most underrated light heavyweights for a while. However, coming off 2 KO losses against Bogdan Guskov and Dominic Reyes, he is an older guy. He's very chinny at this point, I think. I think he is a slick grappler, very creative on the feet. However, his IQ in the octagon seems to get worse and worse. He goes out there, throws some crazy stuff, things you don't want to get hit with. However, he leaves himself vulnerable quite a bit. Modestas Bukauskas recently just retired Paul Craig. Right, that was his last fight, I believe. Paul Craig's at least. Split decision to Ion Cutelaba. He's kind of a tough out, though. You know, he beat Pacquiao and Corquera, who are pretty low level. But I'm going to pick Modestas Bukauskas here. He's leveled up quite a bit since his time out of the UFC. He's done great work since being back. I believe he's only lost one fight to Vitor Petrino. Looked good on the feet against a guy like Tyson Pedro, who's not the best MMA fighter. However, he's a solid stand-up practitioner, very good kickboxer. I don't see Nikita maybe like does a weird trip or a roll to get this fight to the ground. However, I like what I see out of Bukauskas in the cage. Stays very calm, composed, patient, looks for his shots, finds openings, and I like him in this fight. Does he have a reach advantage? No, he doesn't. But Krylov, I think, is just very chinny. Even if he comes out hot, looking pretty good. Bukauskas, even though he's not a crazy finisher or nothing, in the light heavyweight division, though, and a guy, like, I think Krylov has a glass chin at this point, man. He got knocked out bad 2 times in a row. I'm going to pick Bukauskas by a second or third round knockout. I think Krylov could look pretty good as this fight keeps flowing. I think Modestas keeps patient, though. We'll find an opening at one point. Krylov keeps his hands down a lot of the times. Not too defensively responsible. I think Bukauskas will stick to the fundamentals throughout this fight. And I think at some point he's just going to find that chin. In these heavier divisions, once that chin goes away, it's going to be hard for me to pick you. Because these guys, no matter really who they are, they can crack. Even though Bukauskas isn't this high-level proficient finisher necessarily, I just cannot trust Krylov's chin. That's really, if Krylov didn't show glass chinniness, chinny chin, I'd probably pick him in this fight. I'm a Krylov guy, okay? I've always said he's underrated to nobody. I've just said it in my head. But I'm picking Modestas Bukauskas by late round finish. Can't trust that chin of Krylov whatsoever. Moving on to what will be a very close and competitive fight between Ateba Gaethje and Andre Puliev. I just think, Gaethje, he's knocking people out in the first round. It's like, okay, you're powerful. And a guy like Puliev, you really have to think about it. He's Russian, and he's a middleweight. And it's like, Gaethje, bro, like, what are you going to do if you get a jab to the body from Puliev? Like, you're not going to like that. Are you going to want to fight anymore? Like, Puliev, he has this beard, and he's from Russia, and, like, has fought really nobody of, like, value. He beat Nick Klein. He's got that flow, that octagon presence no, I'm just kidding, guys. Ateba Gaethje. I mean, how many Andre Pulievs will it take to defeat Ateba Gaethje? I would say over 4. This Puliev guy, I've watched his fights. He did go to a decision with CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan, who has shown us that he's a very high-level finisher now. But Christian Leroy Duncan, in early his career, you can kind of tell he's a bit uncomfortable. Was taking his UFC ride kind of slow. Puliev is coming off a finish against Nick Klein. Nick Klein's super low level, very slow. I don't care, like, I I can't really get a gauge on Pulev that well, if I'm being honest with you. But Gaethje, that dude, he's gonna sleep him. You have, like, when you have this amount of power, and Gaethje also has a solid set of fundamentals on the feet as well. He's pretty patient. He doesn't, like, swing, like, overly, like, insane, like a lot of other power punchers maybe would earlier in their career. But he's starching him. It's that simple. Crush the can. That's the game plan for Ateba. Don't know why they just keep throwing him cans, though. I think he deserves a bump up in competition. Maybe he crushes one more can, though, and he gets up in the higher levels of the middleweight division. But this is Ateba Gaethje early first round demolish. And Pulev, what I have seen from him, he fights long, and he doesn't, like, that chin's going to be there, and he's, it's that simple. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of how this will go. It's Ateba Gaethje by starch, okay? Moving on to a fight that should be on the main card. Why is this not on the main card after they had to pull Kayla because she hurt her neck? That's insane to me. Natalia Silva and Rose Namajunas. Dude, give me a break. This is simple to me, though. Umar is going to dominate Figgy. Corey Sandhagen dominated him in the grappling department. Umar's a better grappler than Corey Sandhagen. Also, tore his knee to bits in that fight against Sandhagen as well. And barely beat Montel Jackson, in which Montel Jackson in that fight stood flat-footed the entire time and did this. This is all he did, and he would do one and sometimes two. That's all he did. And Figgy was barely able to edge out in that fight. I think Figgy's a little bit over the hill. He could come out. I'm not denying the fact he could come out and look really good. Figgy is one of the most underrated UFC fighters of all time, in my opinion. He has shown in the past to have crazy finishing ability, one-punch knockout power, but since he's been at bantamweight, besides his earlier fights, we haven't seen that from him whatsoever. Umar, striking advantage, grappling advantage, cardio advantage. He just has the advantage everywhere. Maybe Figgy, if he really does look good, maybe drops Umar, because Umar kind of gets dropped a lot. He got dropped against Bautista. But, man, this is just going to be an easy win for Umar anywhere he wants to take the fight. Daverson, he's just looked slower. He doesn't commit to shots like he used to. I think he can maybe be kind of close in the first round, but I think Umar will just keep him on the back foot, keep putting together combinations, beating him up with body kicks, leg kicks, using his range. I believe he has he has 3-inch height advantage. Not much of a reach advantage, but you know the thing. Like, he fights rangy. Figgy don't fight rangy. He, will stand rangy, but he likes to throw more in the pocket, overhands. Those straight shots get there quicker with Umar. He'll have the speed advantage. And in the grappling department, too, especially later in the fight, I think Umar can smother him. Figgy, he's just over the hill, I think. And maybe not as bad, but either way, Umar is just so much better than Figgy right now, all around. I don't even want to... it's cool that this is the fight on the card, but I don't even think it's that great of a fight. I think Umar is just too much better than Figgy. So, Umar, Nurmagomedov, I'm still going to take a 3-round decision for Umar, 30-27. I hope he stands more, because he's been wrestling a lot more. He's not as high a level as a grappler as like Khabib and Islam with the finishing ability there in the submission game. So I hope he stays on the feet and looks to get a nasty spinning kick, knockout or something for us, Umar, please. I think this will be too easy for Umar, though. And I'm very interested to see what they'll do with the bantamweight division after this fight, and the fight we'll talk about later in the co-main event with Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong. If they're going to run Piotr Yan in the Marab trilogy, I don't know, but this plays a big part into it. I will color me shocked if Davison Figueiredo gets the win here. I will be shocked. That'll be one of the biggest upsets of the year if that happens. In my eyes, at least. I don't know what the odds are. Do they say? No. But I think this is going to be way too easy for Umar. Umar, decision win, dominant, easily. Moving on. I still haven't even made my mind up of who I'm going to pick in this fight. John Silva coming off a loss against Diego Lopez, where I picked him to win that fight and where he looked really good on the feet when he was there. Got the best of Diego on the feet for sure, or the spinning elbow that knocked him out. But it was the grappling that Diego won that fight with. John Silva making some dumb decisions. Diego Lopez getting top control in that first round and just beating up on Silva. Had a little bit of grappling control in that second round as well. But on the feet in that second round, man, Silva, and he's done this his entire career, he's so good at flowing in and out of the range, the void, the between you and the fighter, as Mighty Mouse says. He's so good at it, and he is so sharp and accurate with his strikes, super powerful, quick, and even though he doesn't look like it, he is very defensively responsible. Sorry, guys. Arnold Allen, on the feet, somewhat similar to Diego Lopez. I would say he's a bit more technical than Diego, a little less power. Arnold, not a crazy knockout guy, but he has some thud on his shots for sure. Keeps it high and tight guard. Quick as well. He's going to be, I don't know how well he will match the speed of John Silva, but I think it'll be very similar. I still don't know who I'm going to pick in this fight. I'm leaning Silva, man. Silva by decision. I think it'll be, Arnold Allen's just a little less tough than Diego Lopez, I'd say. Just a little bit, not as a granite chin as Diego Lopez. I think this will be a close fight, though. I was leaning Arnold for a while, but I was thinking, I rewatched that fight with him and Giga, which I believe was his last fight, if I'm correct. And he kept that a little too close for my liking. And against a guy in Giga Jikatse, who at that point was probably the over-the-hill fight for him. Long layoff. He's tough and he's good, and I like Arnold Allen a lot. I want to pick him. I just don't trust him in this fight. Silva, even though, similar to how Diego Lopez fight Arnold Allen, they keep a very high and tight guard. But Silva, the way he creates his combinations and so many different weapons, so many different striking weapons in his arsenal, and the way he's able to create openings, find shots that hurt you, throws those teeps up the middle, solid leg kicks, throws overhands out of nowhere. I just think he'll be able to create more opportunities for him to land more damage against Arnold Allen. And I think Arnold Allen, even though, comparing him to, Diego Lopez, I would give him, technically, the striking advantage over a guy like Lopez. But I don't think it'll be enough to get past John Silva. And I don't think, even though Arnold Allen's a solid grappler, and I would recommend him heavily to take advantage of grappling when the opportunity presents itself for sure, I just don't know if he'll do that. Because he hasn't done it much throughout his career. He likes to stand up. He likes to bang it out. And, man, it's just Arnold Allen, when he's holding that high and tight guard like that, even though I'd even say he's a little bit more defensively responsible than Diego Lopez, a little bit better head movement and such, he still keeps his head on the center line a lot. He does have pretty good footwork, though, but John Silva's footwork is very nasty. He can get plotty at some points, but defensively, he's able to move laterally, in and out. I just think John Silva has way too many weapons and way more opportunities to create damage in this fight, and I think that gets him a win on the judges' scorecards. I think there will be way more moments for John Silva hurting Arnold Allen than Arnold Allen will be able to hurt John Silva. He's very good at getting out of range and coming back in and countering. And I think even though Arnold may push the pace early, I don't think he'll look to grapple. I think he'll even be a little more hesitant compared to a guy like Diego Lopez. And when Diego Lopez wasn't hesitant, while he was landing on Silva, Silva was landing some nasty shots on him. And Arnold Allen's very tough. That's why I don't think this will be a finish anywhere in this fight. I think it'll be a decision. But I think this is a 30-27 for John Silva. I just, overall, the skill set, I think, is too much for Arnold Allen. I hate layoffs, especially in, of the featherweight division. Coming in against a high-level, younger, is he younger? I'm not for sure if he's younger, John Silva. I just can't trust Arnold Allen to get it done. I think it's way more likely Silva gets it done. I like Silva by 30-27, decision win, pretty emphatically, I'd say. I just think he'll be able to bust him up way more than Arnold Allen will be able to touch John Silva. I think it's going to be hard for Allen to outdamage Silva whatsoever in this fight. Jean Silva, third round decision. Moving on to this is a skillful, high skill level women's flyweight bout between Natalia Silva and Rose Namajunas. Overall, skill-wise, I think Rose is the better fighter. However, I am going Natalia Silva by decision. She is very quick, and for her quick nature, stature, twitchy, she's also pretty physical as well. And I think Rose at flyweight, I don't like it. While she is able to compete, she's not big at all. Super frail. And the extra, anything on her body compared to when she was at strawweight, it's just, not to be mean, it's a bit of flubber. It's a bit of flub, a bit of flab. And while I think skill-wise, and especially in the boxing department, Namajunas is better than Silva, I think Silva, her kicks, thud, she gets in and out very well. I think she has a massive speed advantage here. And if Rose even decides to grapple, I think Natalia's a stronger lady here for sure. Very fast twitch, sees things very well, especially in WMMA as well compared to other gals. I think she's very high level at flyweight, and I think she gets this fight done, and I think she has a very good shot, and I'd probably pick her to beat Valentina Shevchenko. I like Natalia Silva in this fight by decision, of course. I think Rose will have a hard time finding range and putting together combinations against Natalia Silva. And I think in moments in the fight, Natalia Silva will have way more success, blitzing in with combinations, landing thudding kicks. I think Silva will cruise to a decision win here, with Namajunas struggling to get anything going or putting together any combinations. Moving on. We gonna bang it out in this fight, guys. WCA Waldo Cortez Acosta taking on Derek, the Black Beast Lewis. I'm excited for this fight. I think this is a banger of a matchup. And what I'm hoping out of Derek Lewis is he doesn't just coast until the third round and just looks for a big nasty overhand. But however, even though I love Derek Lewis, I want to pick him so bad, I gotta go with the Pirate Waldo Cortez Acosta. The activity is insane. He's made me a fan. And like we were talking about earlier with Hokit and Denzel Freeman, a guy like Waldo Cortez Acosta at heavyweight's a dangerous man. Has developed a very solid boxing game. Even has some pretty good low leg kicks as well. And he's fast. He's a big, fast guy. He is actually quick. Even though, I don't think Derek Lewis will, get destroyed in this fight. And I think Cortez Acosta really needs to mind his P's and Q's exchanging, of course, with Derek Lewis. I mean, one punch and it's done. We all know this. But when picking a fight, man, in the heavyweight division, in a matchup like this, you got to go with the speedier guy. Especially since, Cortez Acosta has developed a lot since, having a split decision with old man Andrei Arlovsky. He's developed a lot. I like what I see out of him. I like the activity. And I think... second round knockout for Waldo Cortez. No, first round. I think Derek Lewis will come out swinging with Cortez Acosta. And I think there'll be some nasty exchanges. And I think Costa he'll land a better strike sooner, just with him being able to get out of range. Derek Lewis probably catch him overswinging a little bit. Cortez Acosta lands a nasty strike right down the pipe, puts down Derek Lewis. That's how I see this fight going. But, man, I don't even like picking these type of fights because you just never know. And, what I'm saying right now, I would say most people would agree with. I think it's very spot on. But in the heavyweight division, anytime Derek Lewis is fighting, you just never know. The dude, anybody in the heavyweight division right now, Derek Lewis could starch easily. Easily. Especially Derek Lewis. Crazy power. I say this now, who knows really what will happen. But I gotta go with what my MMA hardcore knowledge is telling me, and that's Waldo Cortez Acosta. First round knockout. Speed advantage too much. Footwork a little much. Derek Lewis, though, he's sharp. He doesn't just throw haymakers all the time. He does a lot, but he's also pretty sharp. He'll probably come out and throw a crazy jump kick or a little scissor kick. He loves doing that. But I see Waldo Cortez Acosta getting this done. But never count out Derek Lewis, of course. Moving on to my favorite fight of the night, probably. I can't wait to watch this. Sugar Sean O'Malley taking on Song Yadong. This is a very interesting fight. I'm taking Sean O'Malley by decision, possible third round TKO, and I will explain why. I think most people could agree with this. Song Yadong is a high-level fighter, but I would take O'Malley's abilities over Song Yadong, like just straight up, like outdoing like the toughness, strength, and all that. Sean O'Malley is probably the second or third. We'll say he's a top five, bare minimum, top 10 boxer, sniper in the entire UFC. However, what I am worried about is his mentality, and this goes twofold. He's been saying really weird stuff on podcasts and such. Like if he loses one more, he may just hang it up. I don't like what I've been hearing from him. However, on the flip side, though, Sean's just a weird duck. He's a weird egg. He's a goof goober. He was at Weenie Hut. He's a Weenie Hut Jr. guy that really should be at the Salty Splatoon. Shout out Lucas, dude. But there's also the flip side of that. Petr Yan just dominated Merab Dvalishvili. He has the belt. Sean O'Malley holds a win over Petr Yan. We all know this. Very close decision that Petr Yan probably won. Nevertheless, though, he holds a win. Great. He's in great relationship with the UFC. A win over Song Yadong could very well get him that next title shot, or bar minimum, his next fight's a title shot if Petr Yan's champion, or even if it's someone else besides Merab. And that also could, but that's the flip side. He could come in highly motivated, better than ever, like have a similar performance that he did against Chito Vera, where he looked almost unstoppable, in flow state the entire time, just sniping Chito, working the body, getting in and out of range, spinning back kicks to the body. And I think there's a good chance we get that Sean. And if we get anything similar to that Sean in this fight, I think he schools Song Yadong. I don't know if he finishes him. Song Yadong's very tough. But Song Yadong also fades as fights go on, especially against strikers when he's trying to match pace and match speed. Well, I think Yadong's best chance of winning this fight is early in that first round, establishing dominance and hurting Sean, and probably needs a finish in the first round to get this done, or he needs to hurt Sean a lot in that first round. Because when he fought Petr, he just slowed down as a guy who's more technically advantaged compared to Yadong. He gets wore down. It could be a lot of mental things too, trying to make reads and stay on par with savants on the feet like Petr Yan and possibly Sean O'Malley in this upcoming bout. I think Song Yadong struggles, especially after that first round. I know a lot of people are talking about his wrestling and grappling prowess as well. He is good there. I don't think he's crazy good, though. And if you watch any of his fights, it's not like he's putting any sort of wrestling pace on anyone. He'll feint them or throw them in within his striking combinations and look for the doubles and single legs. But it's not like he's pressing you. And I think Sean O'Malley is just fine being in those sort of wrestling situations, barring Merab Dvalishvili, of course, who just friggin' double leg, single leg, body lock. And Song Yadong, I think he had success against a guy like Petr Yan. Of course, he's a good fighter, but also very similar stature, and that range is right there. And Petr Yan, little hesitant as always in the first round, where we seen Song Yadong have his best, the only round he won, even though it was sort of close. But that's when he was performing at his highest level. But as soon as Petr came out in those second and third rounds, starting mixing together more combinations, being more offensive in the grappling as well, Song struggled. And that's when Petr also decided to move more out of range, covered up more. Like, it's weird. Like, Yan likes to roll more with strikes opening up, and they land more and they glance more. Song Yadong also, where I think Sean O'Malley will have a huge advantage in this fight, anytime his opponent moves out of range, he immediately comes up with the overhand. And that's where Petr Yan started to take advantage a lot with Song Yadong and doing his best work. And combining that with Sean O'Malley's advantage in the length, 3 inches of height, 5 inches of reach. I think this is a bad matchup for Yadong. Even though he's a very high skill level fighter, looked great against high skill level guys, coming off that win against Henry Cejudo, I think this is just a bad matchup for Yadong overall. And I think Sean O'Malley, he has high IQ striking ability. He reads stuff well. He puts together combinations very beautifully. And that height differential, I think it's going to be hard for Yadong to land anything meaningful. And I also think with him having to punch more up, getting closer to Sean O'Malley, not only does that create more slick boxing combos and boxing counters for O'Malley, O'Malley has nasty body work, and I also think he'll take a big advantage here. I do like Song Yadong's leg kicks in this fight as well. However, O'Malley's footwork is going to be a huge deal in this fight as well. Song Yadong, especially after that initial first round, he gets quite plotty. Moves mainly straight back and forth. Doesn't move laterally a whole lot. I think it's going to be hard for him, even if O'Malley's mainly on the back foot for this fight. I think it's going to be very hard for him to get to him. O'Malley's footwork is levels above Yadong's. Every other skill on the feet, very similar, it's close, high skill level guy in Yadong, powerful, sharp, fast. But that footwork and that length, I think, will be a nightmare for Song Yadong. And I think we could see Sean O'Malley have a little resurgence in this fight. I think we could see his the ability that he showed against Chito Vera come out again in this fight. Maybe loses the first round, maybe, I don't know, but I see a possible schooling, man. I think Sean O'Malley is going to take him to class. I'm very confident in this fight, and I can't wait to watch it. I'm a big Sean O'Malley fan. I got a hat and everything. You know, happy dad, whatever. I mainly got it for this, and it's a pink hat. It looks cool. But I think Sean's going to look phenomenal in this fight, and I hope he gets a finish, but I also think kind of 3 rounds plays into O'Malley's advantage somewhat as well. Even though I trust his cardio way more than Yadong's as well, especially O'Malley at this point in his career. He's been at the top of the game for a while now. So fades. He fades each round. I do worry about the grappling, of course, with O'Malley. Song Yadong's a good grappler, but I think barring that first round, I think it's going to be hard for Yadong to create anything for him to get into range to have takedown chances or trips or body locks or anything like that. And to Song's credit, he likes to fight, man. I don't think he's going to press O'Malley against the cage or anything like that. And like I said, I think O'Malley's footwork is levels above Yadong's, and that's going to play a huge factor in this fight. And I'm very excited for it. Sean O'Malley, decision win, possible schooling, possible late round finish, but for sure Sean O'Malley win. Moving on to the main event, lad. It's the main event, lad. We got Paddy the Baddy Lad. It's Paddy the Baddy Lad taking on Justin Gaethje. I'm excited. This is a phenomenal fight. I like this fight a lot. I went back and forth on this fight a lot. You can talk yourself into each and every outcome for each guy for this fight. However, I'm going to keep it basic, and we'll get more into like what I've seen rewatching some fights, you know, a little technical analysis. Even though I'm not that technical, I just kind of watch it, and then I'm like, this makes sense matchup-wise. But I'm taking Paddy Pimblett, 3rd round submission. And I think this fight is pretty even though I do like Paddy, like on the technical level, you could say. I do like him in this matchup as well. But I've doubted so many guys, like Paddy, most of his career I've doubted him. I've doubted these guys who maybe not looked great early in their career, but just have the aura. The aura of, I'm a star, I'm rising to the top, and I'm fighting for belts. I've doubted them. The whole time I've been watching MMA and the UFC, I've doubted them. And I'm done doing that. I'm done doing that. I'm done doing the old Justin Gaethje, though. He's been in the UFC a while. He's fought way high-level competition, more experience. He hits hard, fights crazy. I'm taking Paddy Pimblett by 3rd round submission. Gaethje, his submission defense is horrible. Takedown defense is overrated. I'm not going to call it horrible by any means, but it's not like this phenomenal thing. And Paddy Pimblett is so creative in getting in to those grappling exchanges as well. And anything on the ground, he's so good at rolling through in transition, beating up. His ground and pound looked nasty against Michael Chandler. throwing those knees, which I think will play a big factor in this fight because, like Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje ducks his head and gets very irresponsible on defense a lot, guys. He does. And Paddy Pimblett, like, I know he's an inch shorter, 3-inch reach advantage. His, like, presence in the octagon. And I would say I'm giving the speed advantage to Paddy. I would maybe even give the physicality advantage to Paddy. He is so underrated physically. Like, he straight up just got a body lock. Michael Chandler didn't even have the craziest amount of leverage. Picked him up and put him on the ground. Took his back. And I think if that opportunity presents himself with Justin Gaethje, I think he's able to do that to Justin Gaethje. I was very impressed with Paddy Pimblett against Michael Chandler. And everyone was like, Michael Chandler's now over the hill after Paddy Pimblett beat him. And after where he had Charles Oliveira beat him up quite a bit in that 5th round against that last Michael Chandler-Oliveira fight. It was a bit of cheating that kept Michael Chandler in there. But the dude was still fighting a high-level guy in Du Bronx. And keeping and matching the pace and fighting at the level even though he was getting beat up. Man, and against Rafael Fiziev, Justin Gaethje was taken down twice early. Against Rafael Fiziev. Against a guy who's going to go out there and strike with you. Like, it's like those type of, this is a 110% sparring match, really, but it's really a fight. Paddy Pimblett's not going to do that with Gaethje either. He's going to fight his own fight. He's a bit unorthodox on the feet. I like the knees and those short little uppercuts that Paddy throws. In all his shots, he throws at those weird angles with Justin Gaethje bobbing his head down like this. And as that fight moves out of the first round, those hands start to come off that head a little bit. And Paddy takes advantage of those opportunities so well with his unorthodoxy. I like his lateral movement. Even though it's not like the most technical footwork or whatever, he moves around a lot. I think it's going to be hard for Gaethje to get him. Even though I give Gaethje the overall advantage on the feet for sure, technical striking-wise. He is the better striker, no doubt about it. But I think Pimblett will have success on the feet, especially after the first round. And I also, like, Justin Gaethje's power is a bit overrated, man. He hasn't been knocking out these people like crazy. And as his career's gone on, I think his accuracy has got worse. He's slowed down a tad bit. I'm not saying he's over the hill or anything, but a little bit of deterioration. And I think those little deals there, especially in a fight against Paddy Pimblett, it's going to make a huge, huge difference here. A little nugget for y'all I was thinking about. Trevor Whitman, a bit of a savant, you know. He's testing these strategies in camp. He's analyzing the film. I think this could be to a detriment for Gaethje here. I think he'll be like, you have a crazy advantage over this guy on the feet. He's low level on the feet. But I think if Gaethje's overconfident on the feet, that will not be good. Because Pimblett, even though like this fight could still happen, Paddy Pimblett getting a submission win, but Gaethje schooling him on the feet. Even within that, Paddy is so good at just finding chances to ding you up. He's really good at that, and he's only gotten better. Striking's only gotten better, and I trust his ability to continue to improve and be on the rise. He loves it. He loves the energy, and he wants to be the best in the game. And Justin Gaethje is 38 years old. Even though he hasn't been undisputed champion or anything, he's been at the top, you know? How hungry really is he? Or is it just like, I'm fighting in a main event, so I get more money, already have a great contract. I want to keep fighting because I still can. You know how much of it is that? I mean, I have no clue, but hey. And I know people love to rave about Justin Gaethje's leg kicks. He's kind of moved away from them. They're still nice, so had pretty good success with them against Fiziev. Paddy Pimblett has a solid leg kick game as well, and I think they'll cancel out a little bit, especially because Paddy, he likes to throw that lead one, and it's very quick and snappy. So I think that'll be, I know I'm getting a little Rogan on y'all, but I think that could be actually pretty interesting in this fight to watch. Whose legs deteriorate, who's using them more, who's landing the more thudding ones. But where I see Gaethje possibly being able to really put a hurting on Pimblett is in those exchanges when Paddy, if and when he decides to enter the pocket. Gaethje's so good at that. Just when you're framed up, forehead to forehead, he's just so good at ripping and putting together combinations there. I do worry about that for Paddy because he fights, you know, he has his chin up a lot. Even though I wouldn't call him defensively irresponsible, even though that is a bit irresponsible, that's his style. He kind of knows what he's doing. He's able to manage range all right. Michael Chandler did tag him a little bit, But I think even with that, like Gaethje and Chandler are kind of similar in that way. They see the chin up and come in with these big shots. And Pimblett, man, they both have really good chins. Pimblett has a good chin. He'll eat one of those and throw something back at you. So that could end up kind of canceling out in the fight as well. And I think Paddy, I think he will be able to get this fight to the ground one way or the other. And I think when it gets there, I think Paddy is, besides Arman and maybe Benoit Saint Denis, maybe the best grappler in the lightweight division. Very physical there, very strong on the ground. And we've seen when Justin gets in situations against a guy like Charles Oliveira. And Paddy Pimblett is a jiu-jitsu style grappler. Justin Gaethje was not able to keep up with those transitions. Paddy Pimblett, he gets a hook locked in somewhere, one under, body hook, whatever. I think Justin Gaethje's in a world of hurt, man. So I'm picking Pimblett, and I like the youngness, the energy in the cage. Gaethje can get a bit flat-footed. Pimblett stays on his motor most of the time, popping up and down on the toes. I think this is a close matchup for sure, but I'm trusting Paddy Pimblett, man. Third round submission. Paddy the Batty Lad will be your interim lightweight champion, and that sets up a big fight with Ilia Topuria, which I really want to see. Possibly the biggest fight you can make in the UFC right now. It's up there, man. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video here today. Let me know in the comments below what you think about my picks and my predictions. And guys, if you could do me the biggest favor in the world and subscribe to the channel, it'd mean the world to me. You don't even have to watch all the videos if you don't want to, but just subscribe. It ain't going to hurt you. Turn on the bell notification icon, of course, and like this video. It'd mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. But if you've watched this video all the way through and you like what you're seeing, I love you, and I thank you for that so much. Anyways, I can't wait for this freaking fight Saturday. I'm pumped for it. Probably no video tomorrow. Will be a video Thursday night as well as Friday night, and we will be watching Saturday to see what goes down at UFC 324. Again, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Senol MMA. Shout out Tom Aspinall, my dog. Peace out. Christ is